seen one of those shows where they buy a car for about 500 and 30 minutes later it's pristine and they sell it for 10 grand? Well, I'm not going to do that. Those guys are experts. Me, I have a regular job, I have a family, I'm working out of my home garage, and I don't have any mechanical training. So over the coming months, I'll be working on this 1983 DeLorean DMC-12. It is a lot of work that needs to be done, and I want to get it back on the road. But the key is, I want to do the work myself. But I also want to learn about the components, why it's not working, and what I've got to do to get back going again. So I'm going to screw up a lot, and you guys get to benefit from my mistakes. Now, one of the advantages I do have is I have purchased a 4-post lift. It's something that I've always wanted and I've saved up for quite a bit of time to get, and I think it's going to make life an awful lot easier. But the key as well is it's going to make it easier for me to get under the car and show what's going on, what's being replaced, and anything else that needs to be fixed. So I'm looking forward to the next few weeks. I hope I don't get too frustrated. I hope everything goes well, and I hope I don't find any major problems. But the key is I want to try and get the car back on the road and really get to enjoy it. Right, so what are the jobs to be done on this car? Well, first thing is, the big bit in the back, the engine-y bit, it's not running. So, I gotta get that fixed. I think it is because the fuel, which sits in the tank of this car is up the front. I think the fuel is probably dirty, smelly, it's been sitting in there for about 6 years. If that's the case, the chances are the pump is also deteriorated, and there's probably dirty fuel in the lines all the way back to the engine as well. So I've got to get all that out, cleaned up, and see where it takes me. The second issue is at the front of the car there was some crash damage. So I've already removed the fascia, the bumper on the front, sent it away for some painting. But I've also noticed that there is a coolant leak under the front of the car. So it could be a crack in the radiator. I'm really hoping it's just a hose. That's an easy fix. Third, the brakes don't work. The brakes that slow down these roundy things, not effective. Reason is the pedal goes to the floor. So even though a true petrol head should not be doing anything to a car that might slow it down, and that's what brakes do, I'll be trying to get the brakes working. I'm hoping that it's a simple case of bleeding them, but it may also be a master cylinder. As the car has been lying up for a number of years, the brake fluids are all going to have to be changed anyway, so a lot of little things to be done there.
When I pulled out this pump and we started pumping the fuel out of here, it pretty much looked like somebody took a dump in the fuel tank and left it festering there for about 3 or 4 years. The fuel that came out was disgusting, it stank, so I had to reach in, get in here with some alcohol to clean it out. So really not a pleasant job, but I'm really glad I did it, because now at least I know I've got a clean fuel tank.
What we're looking at here is the fuel lines connecting from the front of the car to the back of the car. So this is the old rubber lines which connect to the fuel pump. And what I got to do is separate them here. So I'm going to cut them off here, because I've been told by Chris, who knows a whole lot more than I do, that if I were to try and undo that nut there, I would probably twist the pipe and break it. And if I do that, then I'm going to have to basically lift the body off the car, get at the pipes, replace the pipes, put the body back on, and I really don't want to do that.
Okay, now that I've pulled out the fuel pump out of the tank, let's have a quick look at it to see what sort of condition it's in. So, here we go. This rubber boot is a piece that sits on the top and effectively helps hold the pump into the tank. Now what has happened is, this lower part of this rubber boot, this is all part of the same piece, has basically disintegrated. So over 28 years of sitting in a fuel tank, this is what happens to the rubber. And in fact, if we separate it, that's the pump itself. It even says made in Germany. And we know the Germans make good stuff, but even this piece of equipment couldn't handle surviving beyond 28 or 30 years sitting in the fuel. This is all ready for the bin, for the trash. I'm going to throw it out. Similarly to the fuel pump, this is the fuel sender. So this assembles something like this. But again, as soon as I took it out, it just fell apart. Here is a new fuel pump, brand new fuel pump. So I'm pretty excited to get this back in the car, get everything pumping, get some good, nice, clean fuel to the back of the car and see where it takes us. So one thing I wanted to find out was, why did they put the fuel pump into the gas tank? It just seems to me like you're asking for trouble. You have submerged anything in fuel or gasoline, it's definitely going to deteriorate over a period of time. So I did a quick Wikipedia search, and here's the reason why. First of all, fuel pumps do not handle fuel vapor very well. What happens is the vapor goes through them, the pump speeds up because it's trying to pump effectively nothing and will burn itself out. Number two, there's in fact a reduced chance of fire if you have the pump in the fuel tank. And the reason is, petrol or gasoline ignites as a vapor. Primarily, it's easier to ignite as a vapor. Whereas if you have the pump in the tank, even if there's an electrical fault and there's a slight spark or something like that, it will not ignite the liquid fuel. It will ignite a vapor. So by submerging it, even though it sounds crazy and counterintuitive, by submerging the pump into the tank, you're making the whole thing safer. And finally, going back to the heat piece, by having the pump in the tank, and the tank is always as far away from the heat of the engine as you can get it, you are keeping the pump cooler all the time. It's submerging the fuel is cool, the fuel is far away from the engine, so temperature does not become an issue.
One of the big advantages of working with an expert or asking for help is they can really save you money in the long run. Let's take the example of the fuel pump that I purchased. I could have bought an original from the DMC Motor Company that would have cost $367 plus shipping. Now, admittedly, that includes all the hoses, the clips, everything you might need. However, I could also purchase, I did purchase, a Carter fuel module, which is very, very similar to the original, some minor differences, but that only cost me $84.21, including shipping. Now, it's the pump only, but I was able to also get a pump seal off eBay, and additionally, I was able to buy all the hoses and clips at the local parts store for approximately $30, maybe $35. This equates to a savings of $267 on the fuel pump alone. The other item I bought was a new fuel sending unit. This I obtained from DMC Northwest. It cost me $149.25 plus shipping, so no real savings on that, but overall I'm definitely very happy with the amount of money I've saved so far just by using a little bit of knowledge. So at last, after 1 year of sitting in my garage, I have finally started working on my DeLorean. So I'm really, really happy. So far, I have removed the fuel pump, the fuel sender, and I've cleaned out the tank. Now, all of that took in the region of 6 or 7 hours. Secondly, I want to give a quick shout out to Engines and Unfinished Business. Matt and Sophie, you have both reminded me that the importance of having a cup of tea before, during, and after working on a car is critical. If any of you have not seen their series, it's about the restoration of a Toyota MR2, and it's excellent, really good and entertaining. Finally, if you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up or even subscribe. I would love to hear your comments. If you have any questions on anything I've done so far, please let me know. With a little bit of luck, this time next week, I will have a running, breathing DeLorean. So look out for this video, or look out for another video around this time next week, and I look forward to seeing you then. Cheers.